Blood and Bloom, a vampire and hunter love story. The spires of St. Augustine University clawed at the twilight sky, their Gothic silhouettes a constant reminder of the secrets this hallowed ground held. Here, nestled amongst ancient oaks and ivy-covered buildings, Theo, or Theodora as her lineage preferred, walked a tightrope between student life and the ageless hunger that gnawed at her core. Tonight, the hunger was a dull ache, easily soothed with a thermos of the crimson elixir she kept hidden in her dorm room. But an entirely different kind of thirst flared when she saw Isabella across the moonlit quad. Isabella, with her fiery hair that seemed to defy gravity, and eyes that held the glint of polished silver. Theo couldn't explain the pull she felt towards the petite human, a yearning that transcended the primal need to feed. It had started subtly, a stolen glance during a literature seminar, a shared laugh at a particularly pretentious professor's antics. Now, every encounter sent a jolt through Theo, a cocktail of forbidden desire and a chilling fear of discovery. Isabella, oblivious to the turmoil she caused, was lost in a book, her brow furrowed in concentration. Theo admired the way the lamplight cast a warm glow on her face, highlighting the sprinkling of freckles across her nose. An involuntary sigh escaped Theo's lips. Lost in the labyrinth of existential angst again, Isabella. Isabella's head snapped up, a flicker of surprise crossing her features before a warm smile bloomed. Theo, didn't see you there. And yes, dissecting the works of Dostoevsky always leaves me questioning the very meaning of existence. Theo chuckled, the sound a low rumble in her chest. Perhaps you should stick to the lighter stuff like, oh, I don't know, young adult vampire romance novels. Isabella snorted, as if. Those things are an insult to the literary world. Their playful banter felt like a forbidden dance, a waltz on the precipice of a truth neither dared to speak. Theo should hate Isabella, a descendant of the very hunters who had ostracized and hunted her kind for centuries. Yet all she felt was a growing affection, a warmth that chased away the chill of her solitary existence. Actually, Theo admitted, her voice barely a whisper, there's this one series I kind of like. It's about a forbidden love story between a vampire and a human hunter. Isabella's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of unease crossing her eyes. Sounds interesting. It is, Theo pressed, a sudden boldness taking hold. The characters, they defy expectations. They care for each other even though they shouldn't. Her gaze locked with Isabella's, the unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. A blush crept up Isabella's neck, a stark contrast to the pale moonlight. She cleared her throat, breaking the charged silence. Well, I wouldn't know anything about forbidden love stories, she said, her voice strained. But I should probably get back to my existential crisis. See you around, Theo. Theo watched her walk away, the ache in her chest intensifying. The forbidden attraction was a thorn in her side, a constant reminder of the life she could never have. Yet the memory of Isabella's flustered expression sent a spark of hope igniting within her. Perhaps, just perhaps, the forbidden wasn't so absolute after all. Weeks turned into months, and the cat-and-mouse game between Theo and Isabella continued. They'd find themselves drawn together in the library, stealing shy glances over dusty tomes. Isabella would linger after their literature seminars, engaging Theo in passionate debates about classic novels, her eyes holding a fire that transcended mere literary enthusiasm. One blustery autumn evening, Isabella found herself caught in a downpour without an umbrella. Tucked away in a deserted corner of the library, Theo witnessed her predicament. The human vulnerability ignited a protectiveness in Theo she hadn't felt in centuries. Ignoring the primal hunger gnawing at her, Theo ventured out into the rain. Isabella, surprised by Theo's appearance, looked ready to protest. But before she could utter a word, Theo had draped her own jacket over Isabella's shoulders, the fabric still warm from Theo's body. Here, Theo said, her voice barely audible over the drumming of the rain. You'll get soaked. Isabella's fingers brushed against Theo's as she took the jacket, sending a jolt through Theo. An awkward silence settled between them, broken only by the rain and the frantic thudding of Theo's heart.
"Thank you, Theo,"
Isabella mumbled, her gaze fixed on her rain-soaked shoes. Suddenly, an idea struck Theo. "Actually," she started, her voice gaining confidence, "there's a cafe a few blocks away. We could wait there until the rain lets up." Isabella hesitated, a wariness flitting across her eyes. Theo held her breath, fearing rejection. Finally, Isabella nodded, a faint smile tugging at the corners of her lips. The cafe was a warm haven from the storm outside. Theo watched as Isabella, perched on a stool, shed her rain-drenched jacket. The sight of Isabella's damp hair clinging to her face, the way her sweater clung to her curves, sent a wave of heat through Theo. As they sipped their hot chocolate, conversation flowed easily between them. They discussed their dreams, their fears, their hopes for the future. Isabella spoke of her childhood spent traveling the world with her hunter family, learning the secrets of the supernatural. Theo in turn shared snippets of her long and solitary existence, carefully omitting the details of her bloodlust. The hours flew by unnoticed. When the storm finally cleared, revealing a sky dusted with stars, neither wanted the night to end. As they walked back to campus, a comfortable silence enveloped them. They reached Isabella's dorm building. They both stopped, a strange tension hanging heavy between them. Theo knew this was the moment of truth, the point of no return. "Isabella," Theo started, her voice trembling slightly, "there's something—" Before she could finish her sentence, Isabella reached out and cupped Theo's face in her hand. Their eyes met, a storm brewing in Isabella's silver gaze. Then, in a move that stole Theo's breath, Isabella leaned in, her lips brushing against Theo's in a hesitant yet electrifying kiss. The kiss was a revelation, a collision of forbidden desires. It was like tasting sunlight for the first time, both exhilarating and terrifying. Isabella pulled away, her face flushed.
"Theo,"
she whispered, her voice thick with emotion.
"I don't know what that was or what this means, but—"
Theo met her gaze, a newfound determination burning in her eyes. "It means," she said, her voice low and husky, "that maybe forbidden fruit isn't always so bad." A slow smile spread across Isabella's face. In the silence that followed, they both knew their lives had irrevocably changed. They had crossed a line, and the path ahead was fraught with danger. But for the first time, Theo didn't face the future alone. She had Isabella, a love as forbidden as it was exhilarating, a love that could lead to salvation or destruction. The stolen kiss became a secret language, a brush of fingers in the library stacks, a lingering gaze across the crowded lecture hall. Both Theo and Isabella knew they were walking a tightrope, the thrill of their forbidden love balanced against the constant fear of discovery. Theo, ever cautious, ensured their meetings were brief and discreet. Yet the hunger for Isabella grew stronger with each stolen moment. The bloodlust, usually a dull ache, became a gnawing beast every time Isabella was near. It terrified Theo. How could she sustain a relationship with a human when the very essence of her being craved Isabella's lifeblood? One starlit night, as they lay on Theo's dorm room floor, whispering secrets under the moonlight, Isabella confessed a dark secret of her own. During a recent hunt gone wrong, a rogue vampire had inflicted a nasty scratch. Though the wound had healed, Isabella felt a strange pull towards the darkness, a hunger she couldn't explain. Theo's blood ran cold. Isabella, unknowingly, teetered on the brink of becoming the very thing she hunted. The revelation presented a horrifying possibility, a twisted solution to their forbidden love. If Isabella were turned, they could be together eternally. But the thought of condemning Isabella to a life of darkness filled Theo with dread. Days turned into weeks, the weight of their secrets growing heavier. Isabella became more withdrawn, a haunted look in her eyes. One rainy afternoon, while rummaging through Theo's belongings, Isabella stumbled upon a hidden compartment revealing vials filled with crimson liquid. Theo, returning to find Isabella staring at the vials with a mixture of fear and fascination, knew the truth couldn't be hidden any longer. She confessed her vampiric nature, her voice trembling as she poured out her heart, her love and her fear. Isabella, surprisingly calm, listened to Theo's tale. Shock and fear warred on her face, but beneath it all, Theo saw a flicker of understanding. When Theo finished, Isabella spoke, her voice quiet but resolute. "So, you're a monster," she said, the word leaving a bitter taste on her tongue. "Not a monster," Theo pleaded, tears stinging her eyes. "I love you, Isabella. I wouldn't hurt you." Isabella approached Theo, her hand reaching out to brush away a stray tear. "I believe you," she whispered. "But what are we going to do, Theo? This can't work." The despair in Isabella's voice mirrored Theo's own. Yet, as they held each other close, a different possibility bloomed in Theo's mind. There had to be another way. Somewhere in the ancient vampire lore, she'd heard whispers of a rare herb, a mythical elixir rumoured to satiate a vampire's thirst without the need for human blood. It was a long shot, a needle in a haystack, but it was a flicker of hope. Theo shared her newfound determination with Isabella, igniting a spark of defiance in the hunter's eyes. Together, they embarked on a clandestine quest, scouring dusty libraries and forgotten texts for any mention of the mythical herb. Their forbidden love fueled their determination, transforming them into unlikely allies. Isabella, with her knowledge of ancient languages, deciphered cryptic texts, while Theo, with her unnaturally quick reflexes, retrieved lost scrolls from forgotten corners of the university library. Their investigation led them deep into the underbelly of the city, to hidden apothecaries and eccentric collectors of the arcane. The danger was constant. Theo had to constantly mask her nature, while Isabella had to remain vigilant against rogue vampires who might scent Theo's presence. The search was fraught with dead ends and cryptic riddles. Just when they were on the verge of giving up, a glimmer of hope emerged. A faded map, discovered in a dusty antique shop, pointed them towards a hidden valley rumoured to be the last refuge of the mythical herb. The journey was perilous. They left the familiar confines of the university, venturing into rugged, uncharted territory. Isabella, armed with her hunter's training, proved invaluable, navigating treacherous terrain and fending off wild animals. Finally, after weeks of relentless pursuit, they reached their destination, a secret valley bathed in perpetual twilight. There, nestled amongst ancient ferns, bloomed a single, luminescent flower, the mythical herb. With trembling hands, Theo plucked the flower, a feeling of triumph battling with the fear of the unknown. Would it work? Would it satiate her hunger and allow her to be with Isabella without succumbing to the darkness? The answer arrived sooner than expected. As they made their way out of the valley, a group of vampire hunters, alerted by an informant, ambushed them. A brutal fight ensued, humans against monsters, love against prejudice. Isabella, fighting alongside Theo, was seriously injured. The sight of crimson blooming on Isabella's arm ignited a terrifying hunger within Theo. The flower, unproven and untested, remained clutched in her fist. The world narrowed down to the sight of Isabella, pale and bleeding, and the primal scream rising from her own gut. In a heartbeat, Theo was at Isabella's side, cradling her wound. The hunters, momentarily stunned, watched as the monster knelt over their human quarry, a look of raw agony etched on her face. "Theo!" Isabella rasped, her voice weak. Don't let them..." The hunters, their fear replaced by renewed determination, charged. Theo knew this was it. The flower, her one chance, or succumb to the beast within. With a silent prayer, Theo brought the flower to her lips and ripped off a petal. The taste was bitter, earthy, unlike anything she'd ever experienced. But within seconds, a wave of cool calm washed over her, replacing the primal hunger. Looking down at Isabella, a daring plan formed in Theo's mind. Grabbing Isabella's hand, she pressed the remaining petals onto the open wound. It was a desperate gamble, using the flower on a human instead of herself. The reaction was immediate. A green light emanated from the wound, spreading across Isabella's body. The hunters, witnessing the otherworldly glow, stumbled back, fear etched on their faces. As the light faded, Isabella's eyes fluttered open. She looked at Theo, confusion giving way to recognition. Then a gasp escaped her lips. "Theo, you—" "It worked," Theo whispered, relief flooding her voice despite the throbbing pain in her side. A souvenir from the fight. "The flower, it worked." Isabella gingerly touched the now healed wound on her arm. It was smooth and unmarked, a testament to the flower's power. She looked at Theo, her eyes shining with a new understanding. The love, the fear, the impossible situation, it was all laid bare on her face. The hunters, their resolve shattered by the display of magic, slowly backed away. Theo and Isabella, battered but unbroken, stood together, their defiance a silent scream in the face of prejudice. The journey that followed wasn't easy. They knew the hunters wouldn't forget, and Theo's family, the ancient and ruthless Volkov clan, wouldn't tolerate her fraternizing with a hunter. But they also knew they weren't alone anymore. They had each other, a love forged in the crucible of forbidden desires and dangerous quests. The future remained uncertain, a labyrinth of challenges and hidden dangers. But as they walked away from the hidden valley, hand in hand, they faced it together, a testament to the power of love that defied even the most deeply rooted hatred.